Hi, I'm Bob Toskey, and when I joined the tour in 1948, I weighed 120 pounds with spikes in my shoes. 6 years later, I weighed the same, but I was fortunate to be the tour's leading money winner. And one of the reasons was that I worked hard at perfecting the correct technique to strike the ball solidly and accurately with the long irons and woods. You know, people would often say, how can that little guy hit the ball so far and so straight? Well, these answers will be best given by an instructor that has taught his son to do these things with great success. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Davis Love. You should find this session very interesting. Davis, you're on.
Thanks, Bob. We're into one of my favorite subjects, long irons and fairway wood shots. Favorite because they're so misunderstood by so many golfers. Today we're going to deal with that by learning how to create the motion of the swing, how to direct that motion, how to stay in balance, how to hit the back of the ball and trust yourself, how to make smart club selections, and how to develop a practice routine and key thoughts for more success. The first thing you need to recognize is something you see out on tour every weekend. The mark of a good long club player is a circular, continuous, and graceful motion. Watch me as I hit a 4-wood, and next to me, Bob Toskey hits a 3-iron. Now let me show you what that long, graceful motion is not. Something we see in our golf schools every day, and you yourself see whenever you play golf. The player who's hit 2 or 3 greens in a row with short clubs winds up with a 4-wood into the green and starts getting nervous even before he gets over the ball, to the point that his swing gets to look something like that. Oh, no. Boy, that was awful. Instead of short, tight, fast, and off balance, you've got to reprogram your instincts. Make your backswing last twice as long, all day, if that's what it takes. We must learn to create that extra length of backswing, which gives us the time to play quality shots with longer clubs. Bobby Jones used to say, always make more backswing than you need. Backswing length is vital to your success with the long clubs, because the more distance you create between your club face and the ball, the more time you have to build speed without effort. In creating the motion, we must understand that longer clubs take longer to swing. Here's a quick illustration. Bob Toskey hitting a 3-iron on the left and a short club on the right. The average distance for you folks would probably be about 8 yards between clubs. To get that same 8 yards between the 6 and the 5-iron, the 5-iron and the 4-iron, and right on up to the driver, you need to make the same swing every time, and let the design of the golf club create the extra distance, rather than you having to create extra effort. There are 4 reasons that the clubs can give you this distance without you having to work harder. First of all, the extra length of the golf club in itself gives you more distance, because that length increases the radius of the swing, which in turn makes the golf swing longer, therefore more club head speed at impact. Your golf clubs, as they get longer, also have less loft on the face of the club. So this 3-iron that I'm holding has less loft than the 4 or the 5-iron does. That means the ball will fly lower, giving it extra distance. The lie of the golf club changes as it gets longer, meaning that as the club gets longer, the shaft lays on a plane farther away from vertical. The 3-iron shaft is flat enough, far enough away from vertical, that it helps the body turn more as you swing this club. That extra body turn is going to give you, again, more club head speed. And finally, probably and most importantly, the clubs get lighter as they get longer. Lighter golf clubs give you more club head speed without any more effort. All you've got to do is learn to make the same swing with every club and let the design of the golf club create your extra distance. There's no question that tension is the #1 enemy of good golf shots, because tension defeats motion. The tighter I hold the club with my hands, the slower the club head will travel. And we need club head speed for distance. So I want to give you an example of what tension does to your golf swing, and then show you how you can get rid of it. Watch as I swing this club back and forth, and see if you can guess when I add pressure with my hands and arms. If you can guess when that happens, then you'll understand exactly what tension does to a golf swing. Takes away the flexibility, takes away the speed, but if I get rid of the tension, suddenly here's the flexibility back again, and you can even see the club head moving faster as it swings back and forth. To defeat that tension, we've got to make absolutely sure first that the left arm is always relaxed and always swinging. Don't let that arm get tight at either the elbow or the wrist, but let the arm continually swing freely to and fro. Good golfers always use a waggle before they play their shot to make absolutely sure that they've gotten rid of all of that tension. You've probably seen this many times watching tour events. Club behind the ball, feet in position. You've seen this little waggle that they go through before they play their golf shot. That's not nervousness. There's a reason for those movements. When the player lifts the club head off the ground, he lifts with his elbows. That's an elbow check. That makes sure that there's plenty of freedom in those elbow joints. When the player cocks the club or moves it away from the golf ball, that's a wrist check. He's making sure that the wrists are flexible and supple and that he can feel the weight of the club head. As the club goes back behind the ball, he's measuring off his distance from the center of his swing to the ball itself. So this waggle that you used to think was just tension and nervousness is really a 3-way step to pre-programming success. Checking elbow flexibility, checking wrist flexibility, and measuring off. I'd like for you to try that waggle before you hit your golf shots the next time you go to the practice tee. Now let's watch Bob as he hits a 3-iron at different speeds. Here he is at half speed, and what we want to observe here is the length of motion, the pace of the motion, and how rhythmic his movements are as he swings the club to and fro. When he starts playing a shot at 3/4 speed, I want you to key on his arm flexibility. Those arms look like they're floating through the air. And if you look at his head now, you'll see that the head is suspended above this body movement, not frozen in space, but just hanging there quietly so that his body can move freely beneath it. And he turns his body freely to support the swinging motion of his hands and arms. Now here he is at full speed. Let's key on the lower body for this golf swing. You'll see the feet picking up the rhythm of the swinging motion created by the hands and arms. That footwork helps to lengthen the motion of the swing while he retains the feel and touch through his fingers and hands. Summing up, let's remember that longer clubs take longer to swing. Be sure to take a nice long backswing, because the club is designed to help you get distance. You've got to stay flexible and keep tension out of the motion. Now let's direct that motion. Most golfers might as well have their hands in their pockets for all the good they get out of them making a golf swing. I've borrowed that quote from Seymour Dunn, one of the great teachers of the 20s, to emphasize the importance of holding the club correctly. In fact, the quality of your grip is going to totally control the quality of your golf shots. So we're going to spend some time here working on the details of how to hold the club correctly with the long irons and fairway woods. Let's start with the left hand, because I'd like for you to learn to put your left hand on the club first. And when we do, we're going to hold the club in the fingers with the fingertips of the left hand directly on the right-hand side of the grip. Now when I curl my hand down and around that grip, the left thumb will also fit just off to the right of the top of the grip. This position should expose the first two knuckles on the back of my left hand. I've marked those two knuckles with a marking pen and suggest that you do the same thing with your golf club so that you can check yourself when you're practicing. If we get those fingertips on the right-hand side, if we get the thumb curled over onto the right-hand side, and the two knuckles in a position where we can see them, if our eyes are looking through the shaft of the club to the ball, this is the perfect left-hand grip position. We can test that position by trying to lift the club head up off the ground without actually moving the arm. If I can lift the club head high enough to get the shaft of the club parallel to the ground, then I've got my left hand positioned on the club correctly, because that allows me to get the full range of motion out of the wrist. The bend is right here at the base of my thumb. If, for example, I turn my left hand too far to the left, it would be virtually impossible for me to lift that club head up off the ground, much less range of motion from the wrist. If I did the opposite extreme and turned the left hand too far to the right, same problem. It would be hard to lift the club very high up off the ground. Holding it in the perfect position, fingertips to the right, two knuckles showing on the back of the left hand, gives me the ability to get the full range of motion in the back of that left wrist. I could actually pound a nail into the ground. I've got so much control and freedom in that movement. Now, with the left-hand grip on there correctly, all we have to do is fit the right to the left. The lifeline of the right hand, the line running right through the center of your palm, is designed to fit perfectly over the left thumb. If that lifeline fits over the thumb and the fingers curl around the grip until the fingertips of the right hand are perfectly poised there on the left-hand side of the grip, and the thumb lays down so that the right thumb is on the left-hand side of the grip, now we've got it made. Left-hand grip perfectly here, right hand fitting on the thumb, fingers curled around, so that the V that's formed between the right thumb and forefinger is pointing almost perfectly to your chin. Now there's a test for that position too. All you've got to do is find a pencil, hold it gently between your thumb and forefinger of your right hand, and then hold the golf club. If you hold it incorrectly, that hand is turned too much to the right, which is shown by the pencil pointing off to the right. This would cause you to hit hooks and pulls. If your right hand was turned too far to the left so that the pencil pointed well off to the left, that's going to cause slices, cause the ball to start right and even curve farther to the right. But positioning that pencil where it is parallel to the shaft of the club will give you straight golf shots. That's the position you want your right hand in, and that's the position you've got to find even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Now that we've got the grip settled, let's talk for a minute about ball position. I've got these 4 golf balls on the ground in front of me to indicate the variety of ball positions we would use in playing different golf shots. If I were to play the 3-iron that I'm holding in my hand here, this 3-iron would be played forward of center. These balls indicate 4 possible ball positions for different clubs. The ball to the right is positioned even with the exact center of my stance. We wouldn't want to play any golf shots, any full golf shots, any farther back than that. But since we're talking about long irons here, I would like to move the ball position to the third forward ball. From here, the club will be traveling down the target line. The club will be moving parallel to the ground, and I'll get the true loft of a 3-iron at impact. If I changed the 3-iron and used a 4-wood instead, I'd move one ball farther forward, because the 4-wood's a little bit longer and has a little bit flatter lie, and I need the ball a little farther forward in my stance to get that same levelness at impact. In fact, if I were going to play a driver, the ball's now going to be on a tee, and the ball would be an extra ball forward of the 4 that you see on the ground here. So the ball position does change, but it does not change dramatically. Too many people feel like some ball positions are back here and other ball positions over there. But if you think about it, if the ball was this far back in my stance, my swing would be too much in to out, starting the ball well to the right of my aim. If I got the ball position too far forward, now the ball would be struck off to the left of my aim. To get the ball to go to the target, we've got to have that golf ball positioned in front of our body, only slightly forward of center, 3 ball widths forward of center for the long irons, and 4 balls forward of center for the fairway woods. The first step in playing any golf shot is to choose a target and visually create a line of play through your ball to that target. When you've got the line of play firmly fixed in your mind, you would walk into your golf shot and place the club face squarely behind the ball, aimed directly to your target. It's really important for you to have this sequence of aiming blade first and then the body. Because if we get the body settled in first before the club face goes to the ground, it's too easy to be aimed offline, either to the right or to the left. But if we walk in, get the club face down behind the ball first, and even take an extra look from the ball to the target before we position the feet and body, it's much easier to get the body settled in the correct position parallel to the line of play. So we've got club face aimed at the target. Now I know my body's in the correct position, parallel to the line of play. Identify the target one more time with my eyes, and now I've got a chance to make that golf ball travel where I want it to go. Now that we know how to aim the club and the body, there's one more thing I'd like you to know about the line of play. And that is that in the perfect golf swing, the club that you're swinging is either pointing at or parallel to that line of play. Let me show you what I mean. If I swing the golf club correctly, the shaft of this golf club as it swings back will continually point right at the line of play until the shaft gets far enough back that it is parallel to that line of play. Past parallel, you'll see the club is pointing again at the line of play. And will do so until the club gets all the way to the top of the backswing, where it's now parallel again. Coming down, it's still pointing. Pointing right down that line of play until it reaches a parallel position, repointing again all the way through the impact position and back up to parallel on the forward side of the swing, and then repointing itself right back up and into the finish. That's the indication that the swing shape was so perfect that the ball would have had to go right down your aim. If you made a mistake in this fashion, if the club was swung outside the line of play to the point that it was looking to the left at this position and then over your shoulder there, now the forward swing would create a golf shot that would travel well to the left of your aim. If you made the opposite mistake and the shaft pointed inside the line of play early until it laid across your shoulder and aimed out to the right, then the shot would have to go to the right because the club would be swinging out there through impact. So you can eliminate those errant golf shots right in your own living room practicing this drill. Swing the club in the fashion that the shaft of the golf club will always be pointing directly at the line of play until it's parallel to it, pointing again at the line of play until it gets parallel to the ground and the line of play at the top of the backswing. Keep it pointing all the way down till it's parallel both here and again on the forward side, and repoint it up to the finish and start visualizing those golf balls flying right down your aim. We've created the motion, we've directed the motion. Now let's put those two things in balance. Balance in the address position starts with the head position, because if we get the head hanging directly in the center of our feet, that allows each foot to carry the same amount of weight. We don't want to get ourselves off balance either to the left or to the right. Let's get that head hanging right in the center of our feet. Even do this drill I'm doing right here. Hang the club head from your nose and make sure that that club is hanging right there in the center of your body. If we start in balance, then we can stay in balance as we swing. So the head's right there in the center of your body, both feet carrying the same amount of weight, the arms hanging freely in front of you. I want my arms hanging free from the body so that they can swing back and forth in front of the body. If my posture gets too much in the erect position, my arms are laying against my body. I have no freedom at all here. If I bend forward too much, now I start to feel my weight tipping me forward and off balance. My arms are too far away from me here. From this position, the arms are hanging freely so that they can swing freely. The posture that we want in the address position is one that has the hips and the head up just enough to get the back relatively straight. No curve, but no military position like this, tensing ourselves. Relatively straight by getting the hips up and the head up. And now we've got the correct posture, the perfect head balance, the perfect arm position, and we're ready to create balance in motion. And when we create balance in motion, that balance starts by learning to make a backswing that turns the body around the right foot and leg, and a forward swing that turns the body around the left foot and leg. The static balance of the address position sets us up for freedom of motion that allows us to stay in balance as we swing the club freely. You can see the club swinging around and up and over my right shoulder as I remain balanced on my right foot and leg, round and up and over my left shoulder as I stay balanced on my left foot and leg. The feet are so important to balance that we have two drills that I'd like to show you to help you improve your balance. The first one is going to seem kind of weird for golf. You've seen a lot of baseball pitchers in this position, but you've probably never related what they do to the golf swing. Watch as I make a couple of practice swings, and as I swing the club back, I'm going to fling my left leg past my right and then put it back in position before I make my forward swing. Doing this drill makes absolutely sure that I've done two things in my backswing. I have turned my body around my right leg, but I have not swayed and thrown myself off balance. People are so afraid of swaying that they will often reverse pivot. They'll do it wrong. They'll swing the club to the right and tilt their body to the left, just the opposite of what should happen. Then when they swing toward the target, the body falls away from the target and completely ruins the shot. Swaying is not going to be a problem if you do this drill. If you learn to use the left leg fling to get the feeling of balancing and supporting your backswing on your right foot and leg, and also the feeling of your left foot and leg leading you through to the finish. The second drill that I want to talk to you about for a minute It's pretty simple. All you've got to do is close your eyes. With the eyes closed, your sense of balance will be heightened and make it easier for you to understand just how good you can get at staying in perfect balance while you're in motion. I'm going to close my eyes and make a few swings. Even with all the golf swings I've made, I'm a little bit hesitant at first, a little bit worried about losing my balance. But as I get the feel of the motion, and I feel the club head swinging through my fingers, feel my feet against the ground, balancing that motion, I pick up a little bit of confidence. If you get to the point that you can swing that many times without losing your balance, you're not going to lose very many golf balls. Right now, let's take a look at Bob Toski's balance. It's like watching the ballet. Look at the way Bob's feet pick up the rhythm of his hands and arms in the backswing. And then the hands and arms pick up the rhythm of his feet in the forward swing. Now let's spend a moment on the moment of truth, impact. Any one of you could take a weed cutter like this one, walk out into your yard, and clip weeds level with the ground. You wouldn't have to take a weed cutting lesson to keep from swinging that weed cutter over the top and slamming it into the ground and breaking it. That talent can help you be a better long iron and fairway wood player, because the same principle applies. You want your club head swinging level to the ground at impact, just like the weed cutter does. If you can apply the weed cutter theory when playing golf shots with long irons and fairway woods, you're going to have more distance and more control. What I'm going to show you is just exactly what happens when I take this 4-wood and swing the club properly through the ball. The club swings from the top of the backswing around and down until it is traveling absolutely level to the ground through impact. I'm letting the club swing through the ball on the level and trusting the loft of the golf club to put the ball into the air. I don't have to try to help it up. The loft will take care of that for me. So let me play this shot for you, show you exactly what I mean. Aim the club face to the target. Get myself settled. Now I'm going to try to swing the club right into the back of the ball and let the loft of the club create the trajectory. Trouble making club decisions? Go to a practice tee. If the iron clubs don't fly high enough, your woods are the answer. But if the irons do fly high enough to stay on the green when they land, keep them in the golf bag. In this case, you're your own best teacher. Speaking of practice, I want to say what we say in every lesson we give in the schools. You've got to practice. No one has 14 magic wands in the golf bag, and that goes double for those long irons and fairway woods. They're just instruments. You've got to work on them to use them. Try the left leg fling drill. Swing with your eyes closed some of the time. And here's another drill for your long club practice sessions. I call it the right foot left toe drill. And it's really a good one for you to use both at home and on the practice tee. Because with this drill, just as I've described, you stand on your right foot and just put the tip of your left toe on the ground. From this position, swing the golf club back and forth. At first, it won't be easy because this drill is designed to help improve your balance. and the balance is pretty fragile when you're only standing on one foot. But with a little bit of work, you can learn to swing that club to and fro without losing your balance. The right foot left toe drill is also a flexibility drill, and we've talked about how important flexibility is to getting your full distance out of the long irons and fairway woods. If I get too tight as I swing, I'm going to lose my balance immediately. If that tension occurs on the front side of the swing, I'm going to lose my balance going forward. So when we practice with the right foot left toe drill, we're also learning to maintain that flexibility that helps us get all the distance we deserve from these longer clubs. Using this drill both for flexibility and for balance is going to really help you be a better player. Lastly, I'd like to have you finish every practice session making swings as though you were getting paid by the hour and not by the job. Giving this lesson was my pleasure. I hope its results will be yours. Any last thoughts, Bob?
Thanks for a wonderful lesson, Davis. Remember that the long irons and fairway woods take longer to swing, so you've got to develop a circular, continuous, and graceful motion when you swing. You need to develop that swing by creating that motion. You now know how to direct that motion with your grip, grip pressure, ball position, aim, and the shape of your swing. Work on your balance. Hit the back of the ball and trust the loft of the club. You'll be hitting more greens in regulation, and you'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Have a great round of golf.